I'm back, guys. Battling the homosexual agenda, gay sex, and marriage equality. ADF's long-standing antipathy toward LGBTQ people has become public through its work on lawsuits, various statements and leaders have made, and materials it has offered on its website over the years. It has also promoted the idea of homosexual agenda, a nefarious scheme to destroy Christianity and eventually civilization through LGBTQ people's efforts to secure equality under the law. To those who believe in this conspiracy theory, LGBTQ people are not really seeking equality. Rather, they are actually seeking to destroy things such as Christianity, the family, and culture. That's just really depressing. Yeah, and I think they also connect it to like Jewish conspiracy, and that's why there's just like this anti-Jewish narrative going on with the ADF. Alright. Um, Sears co-wrote a book first published in 2003 and still available called The Homosexual Agenda: Exposing the Principal Threat to Religious Freedom Today. The authors claim that ADF has nothing but, quote, respect, compassion, and sensitivity toward those ensnared in homosexual behavior, end quote. But they go on to support the pseudoscientific and dangerous practice of so-called ex-gay therapy, to falsely claim that LGBTQ are more likely to engage in pedophilia, and to claim that schools are indoctrinating children into being LGBTQ. Lately, the authors breathlessly claim, quote, homosexual behavior on college campuses is taking a dangerous new turn. The promotion of sexual relations between adults and children, known as PDF file. Yeah, just for copyright, and I don't want to get in trouble and all that stuff, you know. Oh, there is no copyright involved. I mean, just censorship shit, you know. Alright. Despite all scientific objections to the contrary, virtually all legitimate medical associations have debunked the once common claim that gay men molest children at higher rates than straight men. Sears and his co-author insist that homosexuality and PDFI are intrinsically linked. The book also argues against any form of domestic partnerships or civil unions because they, quote, will eventually destroy the intuitions of male and female marriage, end quote. In addition, the book claims radical homosexuality activists have the family and particularly innocent, vulnerable children in their sights as well. What the hell? One of the ADF's past, quote, affiliated organizations, end quote, was something called the Corporate Recourse Council, CRC, whose website was registered to ADF. The CRC was active from 2002 until 2012, and the URL to its former website defaulted to the main ADF websites. Snapshots of it are available in the web archive. The CRC stated on its site that it was providing, quote, objective analysis of the value to corporations of, quote, of family and friendly employees policies, end quote. Alright. They're really nailing this thing down with, like, family values. It's like, what do we do with this news? Well, of course, for family values. Like, what do we do with this chamber? Oh, you know, family values. Freaks. Damn, what the hell? The site included several white papers that argued against domestic partnership and protection for LGBTQ people in the workplace. One attempted to outline why domestic partnerships were not good business policy, saying that only small numbers of people use them, and in any event, the practice, quote, requires employers to treat cohabitation as equal to marriage, end quote. Another by longtime anti-LGBTQ activist, Maggie Gallagher, encouraged employers to support only marriage between cisgender woman and man, and to avoid supporting domestic partnership, which she argued discourage marriage and send, quote, a confusing signal giving the appearance of providing an appropriate context for having and raising children. Still, another white paper was the infamous paper by virulently anti-LGBT activist and medical doctor John Diggs, titled, quote, "The Health Risks of Homosexual Sex," which claimed there are, quote, "serious medical consequences to same-sex behavior," end quote. Diggs included several false claims about LGBTQ people, saying, in effect, that because they are LGBTQ, they are promiscuous. According to the paper, lesbians have far more sex with men than straight women do. What the fuck? Okay. Even if, like, lesbianism, as I think I sort of read in my feminist separatism video, even if some forms of lesbianism is a form of political strategy to avoid men, they're definitely not sleeping with them. That makes no sense. Okay, don't live as long as straight women don't as long as straight people and are mentally ill. The paper also included graphic descriptions of various sexual practices allegedly common among LGBTQ people. ADF also worked to keep LGBTQ sex criminalized. In 2003, the group filed an amicus brief in the landmark Lawrence v. Texas, in which the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that various laws prohibiting private sexual acts between LGBTQ were unconstitutional. In the brief, page after page describes in graphic detail vaginal, oral, and anal intercourse and various infections that may result from the latter. ADF argues that the Texas ban was in the interest of public health because gay men and lesbians and brief contended engage in risky sexual behaviors that increase the spread of sexually transmitted diseases, yada yada. Quote, "The issue under rational basis review is not whether Texas should be concerned about opposite-sex sodomy," end quote. It argued, quote, "but whether it is reasonable to believe the same-sex sodomy is a distinct public health problem. It clearly is," end quote. In 2003, Ferris, before joining ADF, also co-wrote a 2003 amicus brief with ADF attorneys Jordan Lawrence and Joshua Cardin in support of Texas criminalization of LGBTQ sex in Lawrence v. Texas. Ferris listed in his affiliation in the brief as the Center for Original Intent of the Constitution, which was formed in 1998 by HSLDA, and then was moved under the auspice of Patrick Henry College. And the brief argued that states should have the right to police criminalized sexual behavior, stating, quote, "Defining the criminality of certain forms of sexual conduct such as same-sex sodomy is a policy issue that has historically and properly been left to the state legislators," end quote. ADF has also involved itself in battles over marriage equality, perhaps most visibly in the court battle over California's Proposition 8, the amendment that overturned marriage equality in the state. When opponents of Prop 8 filed a lawsuit questioning the constitutionality of the amendment, ADF sought to intervene, as did the anti-LGBTQ hate group Liberty Counsel, which had represented campaigns for California families, a group that had been successful in previous anti-LGBTQ marriage initiatives. The group ADF was affiliated with ProtectMarriage.com was allowed to defend Prop 8 rather than the group Liberty Counsel worked with. The trial did not go well for Prop 8 defendants, who produced few witnesses to support their contention that marriage equality harmed children in heterosexual marriage. The court found one witness lacked qualifications to offer any expert testimony. Another, a Claremont College professor, only rebutted a limited aspect of the plaintiff's case. Another proponent of Prop 8 who offered testimony claimed that, quote, "homosexuals are 12 times more likely to molest children," end quote. A falsehood that allowing marriage equality would cause states, quote, "to fall into Satan's hands," end quote. The witness claimed the internet as the source of this information. This does seem like kind of projection because of how cis heteronormative people just want to like stealth and rape women and get children married so they can, get them pregnant sooner. So, yeah. Okay, guys, you guys aren't fooling anyone. All right. Prop 8 was struck down in August 2010 by U.S. District Judge Von Walker, who ruled that the amendment violated due oh, who ruled that the amendment violated due process and equal protection rights. Liberty Counsel appeared to blame ADF for the poor showing, stating in August 4, 2010 press release that ADF opposed Liberty Counsel's help and that even Walker expressed concerns about the lack of evidence presented at trial by ADF. Regardless, the Prop 8 defendants filed an immediate appeal. The Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals upheld Walker's ruling in February 2012 by a narrower grounds. The case went to the U.S. Supreme Court, which ruled in June 2013 that Prop 8 supporters had no right to appeal the district court ruling. Sorry about that. ADF International. ADF, which has argued that removing anti-LGBTQ laws from criminal codes will pave the way to marriage equality, has worked to keep those laws on the books, but mostly overseas since the U.S. Supreme Court struck down anti-sodomy laws in this country. The group has advised anti-LGBTQ organizations in countries like Belize that are trying to keep the law that criminalized LGBTQ sex on the books. That law was declared unconstitutional by Belize Supreme Court in 2016. In other instances, ADF leadership has defined criminalization as when Benjamin Bull, former director of ADF Global, applauded the Indian Supreme Court's decision in 2013 that recriminalization LGBTQ sex, making it punishable by up to 10 years in prison. The court did the right thing, Bull said, choosing to, quote, protect society at large. Sorry, I'm tired. It's 1 o'clock. Choosing to protect society at large rather than giving in to social vocal minority of sexual advocates, end quote. Homosexual advocates. I don't know if I said that. Okay. Bull also traveled to Russia in 2014 as a part of planning committee for a Russia conference held by anti-LGBTQ hate group World Congress of Families. The conference was canceled in the wake of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, but appears to have convened under a different name. The planning committee alleged met with Yelena Mizulina, a member of Russia Parliament and one of the architects of Russia's anti-LGBTQ laws. Bull left ADF in 2017 and worked briefly at the Washington, D.C. offices of Texas-based First Liberty before becoming vice president of general counsel at the National Center on Sexual Exploitation. Other ADF attorneys have publicly advocated retaining anti-sodomy laws. Jeffrey Ventrella and Pero Tazi, two senior counsels for ADF at the time, spoke at 2012 conference in Jamaica, with Tazi defining the laws as bulwark against an unspecified agenda, in quotes. In 2011, Tazi filed an amicus brief along with Brian Rahm, another ADF attorney, in a case being heard at Inter-American Court of Human Rights. Karen Adela Rifo v. Chile, the first LGBTQ case heard by the court. The court is an autonomous judicial institution based on Costa Rica. Together with the Inter-America Commission on Human Rights, it makes up the human rights protection system of Organization of American States. The plaintiff in the case, Karen Atala, was a Chilean judge who divorced her husband, another Chilean judge, in 2001. Oh, wow. Well, that's convenient. She had full custody of her daughters, but in 2004, a Chilean court ordered her to relinquish custody to her husband, ruling that because she was living with her female partner, her lesbian relationship put the development of her child at risk. Atala lodged a complaint of discrimination with the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights, which asked the Chilean court to justify its ruling. The case ended up with the Inter-American Court, and after a years-long battle, the court ordered the Chilean government in 2012 to pay Atala restitution. The ADF amicus brief, which argued that sexual orientation should not be a category of non-discrimination in the Convention of Human Rights in the Americas, the American Convention of Human Rights claimed that Atala, quote, or was, quote, using her daughters as a way to further her personal goals and had placed her own interests and achievements above the interests of her children. In spite of the, quote, emotional and social damages that her cohabitations with the female partner had on her children, the brief also argued that Atala was imposing her lifestyle on her daughters, and that sexual orientation should not be used in claims of discrimination. Further suggested that, quote, empirical evidence shows that sexual orientation can change for a significant number of individuals. Wow. Alright. ADF International, the organization's international arm, has also been extremely busy in Romania, where it has partnered with groups that have ties to far-right Christian nationalism and white nationalism. The day after the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in Masterpiece Cake Shop decision on June 5, 2018, ADF International tweeted its opposition to a decision by the Court Justice of the European Union. That decision, in the case of Coman and others, held that the residency rights of same-sex spouses married in one EU country must be recognized in all EU countries, even if the country doesn't recognize marriage for same-sex couples. In this case, one of the men in America and other Romania, they had been legally married in Belgium, but were denied the right to live as a married couple in Romania. ADF International has been working to get civil partnership between members of the same-sex band via the country's constitution since at least 2015. It filed a brief at the Romanian Constitutional Court pushing for a referendum in July 2016. The group then organized a conference to push for a referendum in April 2017, and further advocated for it to go through the UN Human Rights Council. ADF International collaborated closely in Romania with a collective of local groups under the banner of the Coalition for the Family, Coaliția pentru Familiile. One of the coalition's co-founders, Bogdan Stanciu, is head of the anti-choice group Pro Vita in Romania. Stanciu is also the administrator or Romanian Alter Media, a consortium of white nationalist radio stations, newsletters, and websites affiliated with David Duke, a former Ku Klux Klan member. I think he was reformed though by Daryl Davis, as far as I know. That could have been someone else though. Anyways, the German Alter Media site was banned in that country for its neo-Nazi content. The Romanian Alter Media site featured similar content. Stanciu is also head of a group called Now Drepta New Right, a far-right ultranationalist Christian organization with anti-Semitic and anti-Roma views. He wrote for the group from 2001 to 2004. The president of Romania Coalition for the Family was accused by the U.S. Embassy in Bucharest of organizing an anti-LGBT Christian nationalist protest at the Romanian Peasant Museum, where people carried signs reading "Die F slur" for the most part, I assume, and, quote, "get out of the country," end quote, and while others used Nazi salutes. ADF International also misrepresented its involvement in Coman and others, claiming on its website that it was a third-party intervener, end quote, at the CGEU, even though ADF was never allowed to participate in the case in front of the EU court. Alright, that's it for now, guys. I gotta go to bed.